Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is I, Jordan WS, live here alongside the one, the only, Jason Diba, here to review the Royal Rumble. You guys asked for it, and here we are reviewing it live, as well as our thoughts on the road to WrestleMania. So, Jason, if you care, please introduce yourself to the lovely viewers who have not had the pleasure of viewing your content.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Jordan. I've been a good friend of yours for a while now. My name's Jason, guys, for those that don't know. My YouTube channel is MrJasonDiba. I have I used to have a wrestling podcast called the Yes for Wrestling podcast.
Indeed, I believe we got that YouTube channel of yours linked below if anyone wants to check it out, but please.
There we go. Perfect. Well, yeah, I've interviewed some pretty cool guests on the podcast as well. We've had Paul London, the Boogeyman. That was thanks to you as well, by the way. We've had Briley Pierce, Dolph Ziggler's brother. We've had the Young Bucks as well, which is one of the most greatest tag teams in the world. So yeah, we've had some pretty cool guests.
Myself, I would. Yeah, it is all good, and we're very happy to have you here. The one thing about Jason, I gotta say, he's got some cool stuff, but I mean, hasn't really done a lot lately.
No, I haven't been active at all the last year or so on YouTube. So I apologize to my subscribers who are probably watching this right now. So I'm sorry, guys.
And it is okay. Hopefully, we got plenty of Jason lovers, Jason viewers here. Plenty of the folks, because I mean, Jason, as you can probably tell from the accent, he's not an Outback Steakhouse spokesperson. He's actually from Australia. He's actually from down under, and so a little bit of a cross-cultural thing going on here. But I guess wrestling is just the universal language.
It is, and funny story between us, we actually met at Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 29 in New Jersey, where we actually saw you on TV that night too, didn't we?
Yeah, and I think in one of the replays we actually got you as well, my man, with your fellow countrymen. So it was good.
Yeah, that's right. It was cool. That was a cool moment, man.
Yeah, that was one of those interesting Raws. It was all the crazy chants and all your fellow Englishmen getting real into it. It was good.
Oh yeah. It was a great moment and one of the best WrestleManias I've ever attended. So that's amazing.
And one of the best Raws. I'll go on out on a limb and say arguably the best Raw.
Oh, for sure. It's the only Raw I've been to, but yeah, it's definitely the greatest one.
It's good, man. It's good. It's unfortunate they don't have too many live shows down, or they have like WWE live, but not broadcast shows.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. We had the UFC a few months ago with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I saw that photo with you guys.
So hopefully WWE took notice of that, and hopefully they can bring down like a network special or something.
Absolutely. Oh, that's good, man. That's good. Well, I say we get right into it. What say you, Jason?
Yes, so unfortunately for the Royal Rumble, I didn't get to see the pre-show. I did watch it at the cinema. I did watch it at the cinema, so I couldn't have time to watch the pre-show. But what was the match? I think it was Darren Young and Sandow versus the Dudleys versus who was the other team? Mark Henry and Jack Swagger.
It was Mark Henry and Jack Swagger. It was quite a few. That's what I'm doing right now. I promise I'm not texting anyone. But I believe it was that group. It wasn't anything throwing in the whole, this team gets in the Rumble. That's cool. But then I feel like half the people that were in that match ended up in the Rumble. Like I don't think Titus won, and I think he was still in the Rumble anyway. So that was kind of weird. But but I mean, I'm assuming it was a good match. From what I've heard, it was kind of fine, to say the least. Like it wasn't anything particularly
average pre-show match, I guess.
Yeah. Nothing particularly special. Give me a second. I'm just gonna pull up these results. My apologies for the lack of preparation here.
It's all good.
But yeah, everyone, please check out Jason's wonderful YouTube channel. I promise I'm not just flattering the guy because he's on here. It truly is a very impressive channel with a plethora of varying videos and all sorts of good stuff. So
Thank you very much.
Smash that link below, of course.
Yeah,
Man.
and to my subscribers as well, who are not familiar with you, you actually reviewed TNA Impact on their channel. How was that?
Yeah. Oh man, that was a cool thing to be sure. Yeah, it was one of those things where Jordan WS. Oh, am I frozen? I thought I was frozen. We're all good. But it was one of those things where it just sort of falls into place. You know, I met some really cool people from TNA, and the opportunity just kind of presented itself, and it was great. For like a solid year, I did these weekly sort of sketches like, "What's up, guys? Jordan WS here," and it was really fun, man. You know, and just something really, really, really cool to be a part of, because it's not something that necessarily happens particularly often per se, but it was definitely a really cool thing. And if you guys get the chance, mosey on down to their YouTube channel, check some of it out for quite a bit. That was definitely a moment to remember as a.
That would be incredible.
Really, well, I should have gotten you on there. I should have called up Dixie and been like, Miss Carter, we gotta get this Australian kid on here.
Unfortunately, I don't watch TNA much at all, so I wouldn't be familiar with it at the moment.
Correct. I mean, I don't really watch it too much, but that's only because I don't really get the network, the pop thing, or whatever they're on. But I mean, the product itself has been fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing awful. It's just kind of meh, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But right here, I do believe we have the actual card.
Okay.
Excuse me. Number 1, Intercontinental Championship match. Last man standing, Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. I personally thought this was one of the highlights of the night, of a very good show overall. A show that I quite enjoyed, and a show that I thought was really, as a whole, well put together. But we'll get into that later. But as an opener, this was, in my estimation, a great match. It was gritty, it was brutal, but it's two of the best all-around pro wrestlers in the. I mean, yes, they're great athletic specimens, but they also know how to work a crowd, and how to cut a promo, and how to evoke emotion. And with all that, I just thought that it was a really good match overall. I don't know about you, but
No, I thought it was a very fun match, actually. It was a great way to kick off the Royal Rumble, and I thought it should have been the way to kick off the Royal Rumble, and thankfully they did that. Personally, I know I'm probably going to get a bit of hate for this, but Dean Ambrose, I think, is a little overrated, in my opinion. A little overrated. I know. Personally, I think his matches aren't that fantastic. Like the ones I've really enjoyed relatively were the ones with Bray Wyatt.
Well, Bray Wyatt's an amazing worker. I mean, that goes without saying.
Absolutely. And Kevin Owens as well at the Royal Rumble. So those were really the two matches that I sort of relatively enjoyed it out of Dean Ambrose. Don't get me wrong, he's a great character. He's the best babyface on the roster, pretty much.
Yeah.
And,
not John Cena? Just kidding.
No way.
That is surprising to me, because, like, I mean, I don't think he's by any means like the best technical. He's no Daniel Bryan, you know. I would not dare question Daniel Bryan in front of you, my friend. But I don't know, and maybe it seems redundant talking about it when we're discussing solely a wrestling match, but like, as far as like his ability as a character, and his sort of thing back in the indies was that he was this lunatic who was able to do all this hardcore stuff, and that kind of has to be toned down a little bit. But the thing with Dean Ambrose that really catches me is I can watch someone like Adam Rose, and I can be like, or the Social Outcast, say, for example, this new stable. I think it's cute. I think it's funny, but I don't get invested in them because they don't make me feel like they could be real. Take a gimmick like The Undertaker, for example. Obviously, it's not a real zombified, buried alive, like dead guy, but you get drawn in as a result of his engrossing himself in the character and his ability to go out there stone cold and stick with that, for lack of a better word, kayfabe. And I don't know, there's just something about Dean Ambrose that makes that I look at him and I'm like, wow, this guy is actually crazy. And maybe it's his promos, maybe it's what, like, I can't place my finger on it, but that's just me. But I will say that in that match, as a fan of both guys, I think Kevin Owens definitely stood out. There was that one spot with the two tables that was Crazy.
The ending wasn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I would
But
say Ambrose is a great character. Don't get me wrong, he's a great character. I think WWE need to push him a little more in the main event spot. That's probably why I'm still a little iffy about Dean Ambrose. He needs to look a little bit more, and hopefully WWE gives him the chance to put him in the main event. And
I mean, as we'll discuss later, he was actually the second to last guy against Triple H. The one problem with that, with like Rumble situations like that, is I often feel like WWE misses opportunities. I do have a feeling, and again, we'll talk about this later when we talk about the road to WrestleMania. But I do oftentimes get that feeling, that vibe, that WWE does this cool stuff in the Rumble, and they have these rivalry starts, like Triple H versus Dean Ambrose, for example. You had them going at it, and it was really surprising. And I honestly think they could make a great feud. They're two great workers, two great showmen. But I don't think WWE is going to go that route. I think they're going to go Roman Reigns versus Triple H, and it's just and it's just unfortunate because Dean Ambrose versus Triple H worked in the Rumble, and they've had that before. They've had like Shane Helms go up against Eddie Guerrero, I think it was one time, and they had this big thing going in the Rumble, and they never revisited it again. And I just think it's unfortunate because part of the reason why people love the Rumble is because of stuff like that. And I don't know, I just think it's unfortunate that they kind of do away with it. But I digress. In match number 2, well, official match number 2, or match number 2, was the tag team champions of the New Days putting their gold on the line against the Usos. I for being the 17th time I've seen this match, it was fine.
It was average.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like the New Day. I like them as individual performers. I think their characters are very unique. I'm not gonna go out and buy a unicorn horn and create a fan page for the New Day. But I think they're good for what they are. I think the Usos are talented workers. I think that they bring that kind of Samoan grit and that Samoan flair to the ring, which I respect. But I don't know. It didn't leave me with anything. It wasn't like Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose where I could just go back and watch some of those spots and be like, whoa. With this, I just kind of felt like, okay. I mean, I don't know about you, but it seems like you kind of feel the same way in a lot of ways.
No, I absolutely agree with you. This is probably, the 1,000th time we've seen these two teams battle it out again. Personally, for me, it doesn't bother me for the New Day in matches. Like, it doesn't really bother me if they have a bad match, because personally, they're the best thing going in the WWE at the moment. I'm solidly entertained.
I thought you said Dean Ambrose was the best. Oh no, you said he was the best babyface going. Pardon.
Best babyface, yes. Okay. But the New Day, I think they're very, very, very entertaining, and I'll never get sick of watching them on TV. I mean, they're just one of the best tag teams going, and it doesn't really bother me if they have a bad match on pay-per-view, because I know I'll see Xavier Woods on the ringside with the trombone and all that sort of stuff.
Great. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, again, as you said, the New Day, they're not wrestlers, which, I mean, it's silly because it's Kofi Kingston, a guy who for so many years was the guy who could do amazing things at the Rumble, but they're showmen and they put on a great show. Who would have thought you'd take Kofi Kingston 3 years ago, you show a wrestling fan an average Kofi Kingston match in SmackDown and you say, this is what he's going to become in 3 years. They'd call you crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, the same goes for the rest of them.
Oh, for sure. Xavier Woods has really actually shone really brightly through the last few months. I never really thought much of him at the start, but he's really come through as a performer lately. So. Yeah,
I Jason, I don't know if I asked you this, but do you watch NXT by any chance, man?
I do watch NXT. Yes, yes.
One of the best parts of WWE. Well, you know, when I watched Xavier in NXT, I always thought he was kind of okay. But it's I often feel like it's very rare when you see a transition from NXT to WWE, to like the main roster, I should say, since NXT is WWE. But you see a transition that is so uphill. Usually you see guys start at NXT and it works. Like take Adam Rose, for example. He goes in there and he's really entertaining NXT. You know, he's kind of like a Russell Brand character, and he goes to WWE. And 3 months later, he's battling a guy in a bunny suit, you know? it takes a real talent. It takes a real talent to kind of stick.
That's what Vince does to him, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, and they didn't even follow through with the bunny feud. It's
People thought it was Justin Gabriel, I think, in the bunny suit, from what I heard.
Oh, that would have been great. Or I feel like it's for the best that they dropped it, because they probably would have been like, that was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson the whole time, or something stupid like that.
Oh god, that would have been very, very bad. But yes, no,
I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him. But nonetheless, New Day were victorious there. Just an FYI, you've probably had some of the show spoiled for you already, but this will be a spoiler-filled review. So if you don't want to know the surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble, stop watching now. But yeah, we did have another title match up next, and it was Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto for the United States Championship. I thought it was fine. It was interesting. I was watching with my folks, and my father turned to me and my mother and said, "This is the kind of match that if you were to see at like a Lucha Underground show or at a Lucha Libre show in general in Mexico, that the crowd would get a kick out of. But because there's such a lack of appreciation for that style and that tact in a WWE setting, it's just another kind of throwaway match, which in a lot of ways I definitely agree with."
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that too. I mean, I think they had the match on Raw where Kalisto won the title, and then the next night the next week on SmackDown, Del Rio won it back, and it was a throwaway sort of feud for me. And I mean, I'm actually proud Kalisto won the US title at the Royal Rumble. I think he deserved it, but they could have gone a different route with having Kalisto win at the Rumble. They could have built up Kalisto as like that underdog sort of guy, where the League of Nations could have really bullied him throughout that feud, and then he could have finally got.
Sorry to interrupt, but all we had was that one segment on SmackDown, and that was like it.
That was it. Yeah, they could have done a lot more with that feud, but I'm happy Kalisto is the US champion. I mean, I think he totally deserves it. I mean, Sin Cara's not around, so I think it's time for Kalisto to really shine, and this is his time.
It is. I'm actually, I was actually speaking with an indie wrestler from around the area, from up north here, and he was mentioning that he reffed a couple of matches for Kalisto back in the day, and how and he was saying that not only is he such an incredible performer, but he's a real stand-up guy and just appreciates the sport and what it means to go in there and have respect for the business and the people that inhabit that. And knowing that, it's just kind of cool to see him in the ring. Yeah, but I mean, that's like what it's like for the majority of wrestlers, as I'm sure you've encountered when meeting and greeting in your time. But yeah, an okay match. Just again, another sort of lost opportunity. Another title match at Brazil. It's sort of feeling like Night of Champions at this point.
Night of Champions 2.0, yes.
Night of Champions 2.0. But Charlotte and Becky for the Divas Championship. I thought, oddly enough, this was a better match than the ones that preceded it. I really like the finish with Sasha Banks kind of coming out and doing her whole thing. I'm not a huge Sasha Banks fan, but you got to give credit where credit's due. She's one of the best things going in pro wrestling and in the Divas division right now. And I thought overall it was a really well done match, and I really liked the way that they went about sort of wrapping up this feud, as I think they're going to try and do.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I actually like Becky Lynch over the time that they're building up this feud between Charlotte. She's really, she's one of the other characters that have really shone through with the load of injuries that they've had. But I think she's really stepped up and one of the top baby faces for the Divas division. Unfortunately, she didn't get the win against Charlotte, but I can understand why they did it, to build Charlotte as that heel champion, which I can totally understand.
I mean, like I like in a way where they're going with Charlotte, and I really what bothers me, it sort of goes back to what we were talking about with NXT earlier and someone like Adam Rose. Charlotte shined, and these are not my words, I heard this elsewhere, but Charlotte shined so much in NXT when they let her show off that she had great wrestling ability, that she was a female Ric Flair. And she didn't have him managing her all the time. Not all of her promos had to do with, you know, him being her father. And I just think it's a shame bringing her up to the main roster, because I don't think she wasn't ready. I don't think it's a case of, you know, putting a minuscule fish into a pond too big. I genuinely feel like they could have done right by her, but in a lot of ways, I feel like bringing her in and making her do the crying things and putting her on the mic as often as they did when that's not really your strong point, and sort of having her dad carry her. I don't know. It just kind of feels like another wasted opportunity and just a little lazy. I mean, I don't know if you kind of got that same vibe at all.
Yeah, I got that same vibe. I think they're putting the spotlight a little bit too much on Ric Flair, even during Charlotte's matches. I mean, that spot with Ric Flair kissing Becky Lynch. I mean, come on.
I mean, I like me some Ric Flair, but he doesn't need. I mean, if you want to use him in moderation, fine, but don't have him be there like all the time. And if he is, let him sit to the side. You know, maybe do commentary or something. I don't know, but.
I mean, I was fine with this match, but then what preceded it, of course, Sasha Banks. Now, personally, I'm probably one of the biggest Sasha Banks fans there is. I mean, Daniel Bryan and Sasha Banks are my two favorites.
Really, like over as a whole.
As a whole, they're my two favorites, and obviously Daniel Bryan's not around anymore for now, but yeah, Sasha Banks right now is my favorite.
Rumor has it that he is cleared. Like
I have something to say about that later on. Don't worry.
But no, I definitely respect Sasha Banks in a lot of ways. I think she does get built up as the be all end all, and I definitely think there is work to be done. But I really am looking forward to what they're doing with her feud with her and Charlotte. Yes. I
was so excited when it came out for that after the match. There, I was in the cinema.
Honestly, this is going to sound really stupid, but the biggest complaint I had with that match is that I couldn't really focus on it because I was so excited for the Royal Rumble, and I was like, we like all me and I had like a crowd of people watching with me, and all we could talk about was that like who are the surprise entrants going to be, and what are they going to do with Brock Lesnar, and who's going to be number 30? Is Triple H really going to come out? Is AJ Styles really going to come out? And like it was just crazy.
Yeah, so many questions,
But speak of the devil. The Royal Rumble match, the final match of the night, 1 versus all for the WWE title. Wow. Wow. Talking great beginning. I mean, I think we could just click stop broadcast right here. That's all we need to say. Wow.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Roman Reigns obviously out first. He eliminated Rusev. Yeah, Rusev. Honestly, no offense to Rusev, but I don't think anyone really cared about who that person was after the phenomenal one, AJ Styles came out.
Of course, absolutely.
Oh my God, so, it was incredible because we've been hearing these rumors, and WWE and Finn Balor and all these folks have kind of perpetuated them, and I think there was a lot of uncertainty because we knew that he'd been signed. But I think I myself, and I was really hoping I was talking with my folks. We kept talking about like who do we think is gonna be the people that WWE brings out for the Rumble, because they always have surprises and legends. And you know, they said Triple H and this Attitude Era person and this 80s person. But I kept saying AJ Styles, AJ Styles, AJ Styles. And I think the one doubt I had in my mind was because you look at guys like Joe and Austin Aries, who have had almost as much experience as someone like AJ Styles, who've had 10, 15 years in the business, and they got sent to NXT. So I was worried they might kind of deflate that hype and put AJ Styles down at NXT. But thankfully, they did bring him out, and they did have him out as number 3. And as soon as they panned over and you saw Phenomenal on that Titantron, the crowd went nuts, man.
It was one of those things where you thought it was going to happen, but you weren't 100% sure that it was.
Yeah, you were like, "Whoa, is this actually happening?" Yeah, and then it happened.
I had to look twice.
I'm curious. How was the reception at the cinema? When,
it was crazy, man. It was crazy. As soon as AJ appeared on the screen, everyone just stood up and rejoiced. It was crazy. It was actually like being there.
I was watching at home, and as soon as that came out, I did this whole thing. It was like one of those 360 turns. I don't think I got it. So like for a split second, I was just like staring at the screen, like, what? Like with a blank expression. And then I got it, and I was like,
Pretty much. It was crazy, man.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Oh Jesus! They said listen. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I went a little crazy there for a second, but it was just incredible. The one beef I have with that spot was that they did this thing where I've heard because like a lot of key WWE crew members and assets were gone, they weren't able to like get a lot of the spots and camera spots they kept it on Reigns' face the whole time. I wish they had showed the Titantron because they had a lot of cool. I saw a lot of like fan cam videos on YouTube of people who were there, and it showed like they had like I am, and then phenomenal came up on the screen, and when that word came on, everyone knew and everyone went crazy. It was great, dude.
That's true, man. Yeah, I wish they would have shown that sort of camera angle on TV, but unfortunately we got it. We got it in the end.
We got AJ Styles. We got AJ Styles, who did end up lasting for quite a bit. He was indeed eliminated by Kevin Owens later in the match. Which, I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, I'd have it be Kevin Owens or like a returning Daniel Bryan or someone like that. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it would have made sense to have him come in there. As much as I would have loved it, wouldn't have made sense to have him come in there and win it. But I mean, you know, it is what it is.
It is.
Tyler Breeze was out next. I like Tyler Breeze personally. I don't know about you, man. I think he's a really good talent. His character is entertaining and dislikable at the right times, and I respect it for what it is. I thought that he had that he really shined in some places, and that he wasn't necessarily a highlight of the match. But I'm a big Tyler Breeze guy myself.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm not so much of a Tyler Breeze fan of myself, unfortunately, but I did like his work in NXT. I will admit that.
Yeah, it's good. I feel like I sort of respect him because they've tried putting valets with him and Summer, with him and Summer Rae for so long. Like Summer Rae with people I can't speak today. They've tried to make her a valet for so long, and I feel like he's the one person that kind of made it work, which I respect him for that. That was what it was. And they also had Curtis Axel of the Social Outcasts. I really have this like soft spot in my heart for the Social Outcasts. It almost sort of reminds me of the Job Squad, that group they used to have with Al Snow and Gilbert and all the kind of jobber characters in the Attitude Era. I really like what they're doing with them. I don't know. I mean, like it's not going to be anything that gets them World Heavyweight Championship shots, but I don't know. I think it's cute for what it is.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's refreshing, and I mean they're getting TV time. I mean there's some great talent there. I mean Heath Slater is extremely popular on the internet most times. To see him done as the leader is really cool as well.
It is, and I also I'm fine with Curtis Axel. I'm fine with Bo Dallas. And as I said, it's a nice group of people put together. It's cool to see them all kind of working off of each other, especially with such different personas. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's good. It's good. And then number 6 was Y2J Chris Jericho. We actually got a full version of this on Raw, but one of the coolest things for the Rumble was seeing Y2J work with AJ Styles. That was just mind-boggling because you see this one guy, I work in WCW, but he's been a staple of WWE for so many years, so cognitive and representative of everything WWE. And to this one guy that's been representative of TNA and ROH in Japan and all these indie federations over the years, and just to see them in a WWE ring, it was monumentous. I mean, there are no words for it.
Yeah, it was one of those things you don't expect to see in a million years, honestly. It was amazing to see them, AJ in the same ring with many other WWE talent, and I'm sure he can have some great storylines, some great matches with guys like Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. The list is endless, really.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of, and it is early to jump to conclusions, but they're doing a great job. They're doing horribly. But from what I've seen thus far, I've really liked the majority of what they've been doing with AJ. With AJ. I like Oh, it's late at night here, man.
I have those blanks too, don't worry.
But it's really good. I like it. I think that it's interesting to see how they're not trying to make him a WWE character, because a lot of the times people are like, wait, why are you sending Samoa Joe to NXT? And it's like they need to WWE his character up, or WWE style up. But with AJ, it really seems like they're letting him be the AJ we've known for years. And in that sense, I really respect, how they're saying, like, you have your people, and we're not going to mess with them. We're going to let them enjoy your match and your matches and your run with us. So, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, everything's cool about AJ Styles. They're doing really the right thing with him. I mean, he's probably the number one merchandise seller at the moment. I mean, I think he sold out all the shirts the first night it was released.
He had like 25 items in WWE Shop, and the only one is like the extra large baby cardigan or something.
And on iTunes as well, his song, his new theme song got, I think, a lot of views, a lot of hits on that. So
tons of them. But and then we also had Kane come out, sort of a welcome thing, since Kane isn't necessarily a regular in-ring presence. I'm not a big fan of how they ended his streak. I mean, I know all good things need to come to an end, but I'm not a huge fan of the way they were like, oh, big Roman Reigns coming in and ending, Kane's big streak. Partly because I don't like Roman Reigns in the slightest, at all. Yeah, I nothing against him personally. I met him at WrestleMania at Access. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. A really just joy to be around. I don't care for him as a champ. I don't see it. I get he has a good look. I get he comes from a good lineage. He doesn't do it for me. I mean, like, I get that he's powerful and strong and he's improved, but I look at someone like Dean Ambrose, and I know you're not the biggest Dean Ambrose fan, but I'm sure we can agree. Dean Ambrose is superior to Roman Reigns in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is. I'm just gonna scroll through and see some of the other people in the room. Sami Zayn, Bray Wyatt, for crying out loud, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler. I don't even like The Miz. Dolph Ziggler, Goldust, Tyler Breeze, for crying out loud. I'd rather see Tyler Breeze as world champion than I would Roman Reigns. I just don't see. I don't see it with him. No disrespect to him as a person. In his ring work, in his character work, in his promo work, I don't see anything that screams champion. He's just another big guy who talks like this and lifts people up, believe that. Quick punchline. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but it seems like you kind of have the same concern.
I'm the same, yeah. I mean, I don't mind Roman Reigns as much as a lot of people do, but then again, his promo work really just it blows. What can I say? It blows.
Yeah, it does. Mm-hmm.
His character, though, his character's not that crash hot. I think WWE really need to put in a lot of work with Roman Reigns, and I think they're making the wrong decisions with Roman and building him up incorrectly. I
do think there's potential there. I don't think he's a lost cause.
No.
But like, I feel like he's at the same level as like an Eric Rowan. Honestly, like as far, and I'm not saying that as a negative to Eric, but I'm saying someone like Eric Rowan alone in the Wyatt family. He's out there, and he's doing his thing when he's alone. Someone like Eric Rowan, just another big guy that's able to look menacing with a mask. And I feel like there's nothing that makes Roman Reigns stand out from an Eric Rowan or from a Titus O'Neil, at least for me personally, except for the fact that WWE has put him in that position. I'm sorry, but I just don't see it as of right now.
I think they pushed him a little too early with him winning the Rumble as well. It wasn't the right time for him, and they needed to build him up. I think maybe just they could have gave him the US title at that time and to build up that his credibility.
I mean, the way they were going, it looked like they were going to push Dean Ambrose as the big Shield guy for a while, but he's honestly gotten the less of it. He's been like the mid-carder. And I feel like it would be great to put Reigns in that role, because he had Seth Rollins. I absolutely think it's the right choice, making him the kind of sleazy heel. and then take Roman Reigns, the more amateur guy, the guy with less experience, the guy with less good mic work, make him the Intercontinental Champion, and then make Dean Ambrose the guy who wins the Rumbles and gets the WrestleMania matches against Triple H. But I mean, it is what it is. And I suppose then we wouldn't be able to have workhorse matches with guys like Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. But nonetheless, we also had Goldust come out, as I mentioned a little while earlier. Always been a big Goldust fan. Nice guy, really nice guy. Met him at a couple of indie shows a few years back, I should say. Really, really honest, nice guy. I read his book, as a matter of fact, Crossroads, I think it was called. And he had a really very interesting story with his personal life and how he came about wrestling. And I mean, I like him. I always think it's kind of cool, especially in the Rumble, to see these kind of older guys who can still put on a good show for a night or two kind of come back. I think it kind of shows what the Rumble's all about, at least for me personally.
Yeah, I agree. Goldust is, quite frankly, a legend, to be honest.
Yeah.
So he's entertaining as well. I think that whole thing that they're doing now with R-Truth as well, the Golden Truth.
With that misunderstanding promo they had on Raw, that was funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It's good. It's good stuff, dude. It's good. We also had a Ryback coming out. I like Ryback more than I did before. I kind of feel like I kind of feel like he's always sort of been this big meathead. I don't know if I necessarily agree with all the title shots that he's gotten, and all the kind of love that he's been given there. But he was never really pushed to the point of a guy like Reigns, and I never necessarily hated him. But I mean, I personally have liked what they've been doing with Ryback as of late, because I think that he's gotten a lot more likable. Like before, I felt like he won the Intercontinental title because he was big, but I feel like he's sort of done some good work for himself. And while I never think he'll be like the be all end all, like he'll never be a legend per se. I mean, I don't know. I can bear him for what he's worth.
Yeah, see, I'm actually the opposite to you. I actually liked him more back when, towards WrestleMania 29 and that sort of time. I actually enjoyed him more than now. Now he's just in the mid card. He's there. I mean, he's not doing anything special, and he's just doing the same old "feed me more" chants and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, boring. I don't know. I suppose so. So the thing with WrestleMania 29 that bothered me is I feel like they were going a bit of a Roman Reigns route with him. Not to say that he was by any means on the same level as Roman Reigns. It's sort of apples and oranges in a sense. But like they were pushing him. If you remember that Raw we went to, him and Cena were they did that ending spot with them, and they had the title match and stuff, and that was kind of forgotten after a while. But I really felt like that had they followed through with that the way they did with a guy like Reigns, it might have been kind of, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but still, that being said, it was what it was. And then Kofi Kingston of the New Day. I was a little disappointed because they always do a cool spot with the Rumble, and the thing they did with the New Day this year with Kofi, like he always gets eliminated and does some cool thing to get back in and before being eliminated 5 minutes later. But I don't know. I thought he was just kind of in there for the sake of filling 30 spots.
Pretty much, yeah. It wasn't anything special like any special spots that he usually does, but I think they're running out of special spots to do. I mean, they've used the commentary table, they've used the chair, they've used the barricade.
The coolest one, the barricade. We were actually there live for the barricade.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, they were at the TD Garden, and they did the barricade thing, and we were on the exact right side, and we were leaning over, like, is he actually doing that? Is he actually doing that? It was so crazy, man. It was great. I mean, come again? I'm sorry.
That would have been awesome to see live, for sure.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. It was really cool, man. It really was. I thoroughly enjoyed that, to be sure. And as I said, Titus O'Neil came in. Was Titus O'Neil the gentleman that won that match they had earlier? Was he the one that won the pre-show match?
No, that was Henry and Swagger, I believe. Pre-show match.
Well, either or. I personally think that Titus is kind of an underused talent. I think he's one of those big guys that has that like macho look, but they don't really use him to the best of his ability because he also does have some personality. I remember what they did with him in the original NXT, not the developmental stuff they have now on the network, but like the original NXT that they had on the Sci-Fi Network, and they had like like that competition with the pros and stuff. I thought it was really cool. I really liked him there, but I think after Primetime Players, he's just kind of been mid-card to jobber guy that's just been there, you know?
Exactly. I don't think he's going to move anytime soon. To be honest, I think he's going to stay there for a long time. But hey, that's what he gets.
That's what it is. That's what it is. But to follow him, we did have R-Truth, and I love the thing they did with him in the ladder. Oh,
that was so never laughed so hard during a Rumble match. Honestly, I know it was a little bit lame. I mean, some fans found it a little lame, but I actually really enjoyed it, and I thought it was hilarious. And yeah,
it's like people always say, "How can you watch wrestling? It's so fake." But I'm like, well, how can you watch your favorite? How can you watch Indiana Jones? Yeah, that's Harrison Ford acting on a set. But this is the exact same thing. It's just as entertaining, and there's also an element of realism to it that isn't in a lot of other sports. And so I think, and a lot of people judge, like, well, the reason people have that stigma is because of stuff like what happened with Truth at the Rumble. I don't know. I thought it was cute. I thought it was what it was, and I think it adds to his character. You know, wrestling's not. If you want to watch just regular wrestling, go watch high school kids in jock straps and tights and singlets, you know. And I thought it was cute. I thought it was a real nod to his character and the fact that he's never going to he might never win a WWE championship, but at the very least he's gonna be a guy that people talk about the next day because he's entertaining and funny.
For sure, yeah, he brings that comedic relief, I think, as well to the show. So it's really cool.
Without a doubt. And then we had the first member of the Wyatt family, which is very exciting. One Luke Harper. I really like Luke Harper. I love the stuff that he did with Ring of Honor, Brody Lee, before he came to WWE. And I think that he's oftentimes overshadowed a bit by Bray Wyatt. Like I know for a while they had him kind of branch out with Rowan by himself, or not by himself, but in a sort of more singular tag team. And I would have loved to see him kind of stand on his own feet. But as far as in terms of the Rumble, he was kind of just a Wyatt family member, you know, which...
He was there to help Bray Wyatt win, let's face it.
he was there to help him along with Rowan and Strowman and all those guys. But before that, we actually had the inclusion of Stardust. Not too long after Goldust. I'm a big Stardust guy. I know when he came out and he did the whole Cody Rhodes, I can't be your partner anymore, brother, but I know who can. And he came out with the makeup. I was just kind of like, okay, this isn't awful, but it is what it is. He's a guy with a big star on his face. But Cody Rhodes is such a talented guy, and he's able to carry the blue chip young guy, the cocky legacy member, the dashing Cody Rhodes, the undashing guy with the mask. He's such a versatile performer. He might not be the best, but I guarantee you could give him Australian Road Runner with a pack of Elmer's glue stuck to his feet, and he would be able to carry that.
That's true. Absolutely agree. I think he's any sort of character you give him, he can deliver on pretty much anything. And I think he's one of the most underrated performers that they have, for sure.
Absolutely. Underrated performers, without a doubt. Right alongside this guy, the next one, number 15, halfway through the list, one Big Show. A lot of people say that they think Big Show is too old and that it's time for him to kind of wrap up his career. I've always loved Big Show. And I think another thing, sort of similar to Stardust, is his versatility. I remember going to a house show. Big Show hadn't been seen for a while, but it was during that period where before he started doing his whole crying thing, where he was with the John Laurinaitis feud, and he was hated. People were booing him, and everyone on the internet hated him. And then I went to a house show, one of those WWE Live things, and he didn't even have a very prominent part in the show. He was just a lumberjack in like one match. So it must have been a tour. He was just participating because he was there. And he did these silly little spots with this kid and toy belt in the front row, and the crowd went wild for him. And I don't know what it is. He just has this charm and likability, and he's able to make a crowd hate him or love him at any moment's notice. And I don't know. I just kind of respect him for that. And I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, I think that WWE often misuses him, but as a giant, he's cemented his legacy, and it's always cool to see him participate in a match like this.
That's true. Yeah, I respect the Big Show. Don't get me wrong. I think he's obviously a future Hall of Famer. But I do think I do agree with a lot of people when I think it is his time to retire, to hang up the boots. I mean, he's done pretty much everything there is to do in wrestling, and
he's won every title they have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So there's really isn't a whole lot for him to do that's left in the WWE. I think he's just there for TV time, or it's just pointless for me to have Big Show there still. I think he should have retired back at WrestleMania 30 when he could have. They had the opportunity for him to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and he could have retired on after that and just retire on a high note after that.
Yeah,
but that's.
I guess in a lot of ways, it is unfortunate because you look at NXT guys like a Sami Zayn or like Social Outcast members that could be used so much more frequently. But I don't know. It's sort of hard to explain for me. But like personally, I just feel like given all that he's done, when they get it right, and they often hit a foul, but when they hit it out of the park, I don't know. I feel like it's good for Big Show, but to each their own, I suppose.
That's right.
And a fellow European coming up, actually, Jason, one Neville. I don't know if you ever saw him around the indie circuit of your area.
No.
But never. Before when he was Pac, before he.
I never heard of him up until NXT, unfortunately. But
well, yeah, I mean, you never know. But yeah. Neville, I like Neville. I feel like I haven't seen him in forever. Like he came on and it looked like they were giving him a real push. And I feel like I've barely ever seen him as of late. But he did some cool stuff in the Rumble, flying around and whatnot. Very, very fun to see as per usual. I remember a cool spot he did with AJ. I don't remember the specifics of it, but it's always great to see, again, kind of WWE branded talent with the new guy, the phenomenal one.
That's true. Yeah. Neville's a great talent, that's for sure. And I think they're really underutilizing him in a lot of places. And he could have a lot more potential.
I think the one thing with someone like Neville is that his mic work, while not bad, isn't superb. He's a fantastic wrestler. He rivals in matches in technicality, rivals Bret Hart. In athleticism, he rivals an Evan Bourne or Kobe Kingston. In high flying ability, I could go on and on for days. When it comes to wrestling, he's the total package. Or when it comes to in-ring skills, I should say, it's the total package. But when it comes to the real total package of in-ring skills and mic skills and being able to connect with a crowd, I don't know if he has it. Because you asked me to name 5 great Stone Cold promos right now. I'll do it. You asked me to name 5 great Rock promos right now. I can do it. Don't know if I can say that for Neville, at least not right now.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
But nonetheless, another Wyatt family member joined us after this. One Braun Strowman. Again, just another Wyatt guy, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a fan of Braun Strowman at all. And from what I've heard with the rumors, they're going to try and get him to face either Brock Lesnar or The Undertaker. And unfortunately, I just don't. I see that match being a bomb, personally. I just don't.
Undertaker, because Undertaker, at any given year, he could come out and say, this is going to be my last match. And if he wastes it on a Braun Strowman, I'm so totally fine with him going out there against new talent. I'm not saying that he has to face a future Hall of Famer. He can make a Hall of Famer, but I don't think Braun's ever going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. I don't. And I don't mind him going up there and facing someone like if they announce tomorrow, okay, it's going to be AJ Styles or it's going to be Sami Zayn versus The Undertaker. That's fine, because I think Sami Zayn has potential, and a match like Undertaker could carry into those new heights. I'm sorry, but I don't see that with Braun Strowman. Least personally.
I don't know, and I don't see why they brought him into the Wyatt family in the first place, because they really didn't need him. They've got Harper, they've got Rowan. They could bring in like a female member of the Wyatt family with
like a Sister Abigail.
Exactly. So I think they could have done without him, but hey, they gave it to us, so we gotta enjoy it somehow.
I guess, but like what's weird to me is they added him, and I figured like, okay, they're gonna expand the Wyatt family. Maybe they'll have core members, maybe like Bray and Rowan, and not Roman. They're not gonna put Roman in the Wyatt family. Can you imagine if he just comes up with a lantern one day? Though Bray Wyatt's a better performer than Roman Reigns. Just saying.
Sure.
Just saying. But no, I thought maybe they would do this thing where they had him as sort of like a background Wyatt, if you will. Like maybe he wrestled some dark matches and he was just kind of there as like a guy in the background. And what I thought might be cool is if they did this thing where they had a bunch of sort of small, like developmental guys like that, and they sort of like tested them out. Like they took the guy who wasn't tough enough, that big Josh guy, or guys who kind of needed refining as characters, but kind of had that look and maybe an it factor to them. Kind of put him in the background with the Wyatt family. I almost thought they were kind of going with something like that, and I heard inklings of it. But it just seems sort of mismatched with 4 members, at least for me. Yeah.
It's not right for me personally.
No, it's really not. And I mean, I personally really liked the inclusion of Kevin Owens next. As I said, I wasn't a huge fan of what they did with AJ Styles and how they had him eliminated. I mean, I understood why it had to happen to move the storyline along, but I would rather have Kevin Owens do it than I would, Braun Strowman, you know. Anyone but Braun Strowman. I mean, I liked seeing Owens in there, and I thought it was cool they had Ambrose eliminate him when Ambrose came in immediately after. Luck of the draw, I suppose, for 2 Royal Rumble guys coming right after one another. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, what a thought.
But I really liked that, and I thought it was cool how he was like sauntering down with the limp and just kind of, doing his thing there. I thought it was cute. I thought it was good.
He did lose it after a few minutes. He did lose that little bit of limping, but
the magic of WWE adrenaline, I suppose, right?
Sure, yep.
It's good. It's good. And immediately after Ambrose, though, was another sort of surprise. Sort of not. I mean, we've seen him before, and it's not like a big return or anything. But Sami Zayn was very cool to see, and I like the way that he kind of worked with Wyatt family members and with Y2J. And I'm a big Sami Zayn guy. I don't see why, if you brought Kevin Owens up, why Sami Zayn hasn't been brought up. But just me.
Yeah, no, I think that they made a really good decision with Sami Zayn bringing him into the Rumble. I thought it was a very cool spot with Kevin Owens getting that little bit of redemption for Sami Zayn, and I think they could really build up to a WrestleMania match if they brought up Sami Zayn again to the main roster after his last match with Cena. But
I have a feeling that you have that on your notes, Jason.
I actually don't, but I just thought of it now.
Well, I mean, that would definitely be interesting. I'm a big Sami Zayn guy. I haven't watched NXT for too long. I've really only started watching it in the past couple months just because of busyness. I'd seen arrival shows here and there, but I've always really loved Sami Zayn, and I think he's one of those few guys. Character isn't his strong point, but he has enough of it, and he has proficient mic skills to the point where they're able to carry him to that match and say, hey, this is my thing. This is what I do. This is where I shine, which I really appreciate and like.
Yeah. He reminds me a little bit of Daniel Bryan in a way, because he's really a guy that everyone likes, and he can have the potential to be one of the biggest baby faces on the main roster if they give him a chance. Without
a doubt. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And then another Wyatt family member, Eric Rowan. What can I say? Keep coming. They keep coming. As I said, I don't think I mentioned it before when I was going on like a Reigns ramble. I like him. I don't think he's anything fantastic, but I don't think he's anything awful. I think, again, he's just another member. You know, I think he
Nothing
works. No, not for me personally. Here's another guy. It might be a little controversial that I feel this way about this gentleman, but not Big Show. But Mark Henry. Mark Henry just needs to hang up his boots. He's in there in such an inconsistent way. Maybe it'd work if he was actually on WWE TV on a regular basis, but be it injury or whatever else, he's never there. And so it just feels a little redundant to me when he comes in and does his Rumble spots or his, tag team spots or whatever.
Yeah, it's the same feeling as I have with the Big Show. I mean, he just needs to retire now. He's done it all. He's done it all pretty much. He's won a world title. He's won the European title. And he's done everything. And I think it's time to retire, along with the Big Show, and also along with Kane, I think, as well as another guy who needs to retire.
Yeah, I mean, like, I actually met Kane at a thing, and he was saying how, I don't know if this was just WWE press, and he didn't want to get on anyone's bad side. But he was saying that he really liked the corporate Kane character, and he could see it going a lot of places. I don't, no.
Take your hit at that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I appreciate his character, but I would hate to see it kind of ruined and see him kind of go the Ric Flair route with sort of going for so long and just being forced to retire instead of going out on his own merit. You know what I mean? I would hate to see that for any of these guys because they're all so great.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
It was interesting. I'm thinking about it. It's a lot of, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's a lot of kind of the big powerhouse brawler guys that kind of stick around for a little bit longer. I wonder if
they last a while. I guess it must be the WCW type thing that they got going.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But after Mark Henry was one of the big draws for that evening, it was the Beast. It was Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
I gonna be honest here, Brock Lesnar is one of my least favorite members of the WWE roster.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's
yeah. I definitely is to you and plenty others, I'm sure.
Wow.
I respect his acumen as an athlete, and what he did before and the shows that he has put on now. I don't feel like, that being said, I don't feel like he's at the level where he can come in and win championships and be this. And I'm not saying this is necessarily up to him. And so I'm not blaming him as a person. This isn't a personal attack on Brock Lesnar, the man. This is just on the Brock Lesnar character and whoever has been in control. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to refer to it as Brock Lesnar. But I don't appreciate, and it really irks me that he can come in and he can win these championships and have these big matches and be the main event of any pay-per-view and then just leave because he doesn't have mic skills. He's carried by Paul Heyman. He doesn't have a character. He's a big beast. He's he's a butt kicker. That's his character. He's literally a UFC fighter. And while I respect what he's doing in the ring, I don't feel like that work or his acumen, his stature. Like you see someone like Undertaker. I'm okay with Undertaker only coming at WrestleMania because he's earned that. He's put blood, sweat, and tears into this, not only the sport, but this sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. Not only into the sports entertainment, but into this company, into WWE, and into sticking with them and through thick and thin and creating stars and moments for them for so long. I'm okay with him just coming out at WrestleMania because he shaped WrestleMania. What did Brock Lesnar do? Come in and make noise for a little bit in the early 2000s? That's about it. Then he abandoned everyone. He has no loyalty, and I don't feel like he's good enough or he's powerful enough or he's entertaining enough to be a guy who can come in and who can win the title but have less matches in the year and have less appearances in the year than Flo Rida.
That's true. I sort of disagree with you though. That I think Brock Lesnar is one of the most outstanding talents again on the roster. I think he deserves to come in and go here and there because he's done his time in the early 2000s, as you said, and I know he's not the most humble guy out there, that's for sure. But I think he does bring the ratings. He brings in the money for the company, and I can see why they pay him so much and they use him like they do. I mean, he's a great character, and with Paul Heyman on his side, I think they're a great duo, and they make for compelling television.
Right, and I mean, and I look at someone like I look at someone like John Cena though, and again, I'm not the hugest Cena guy. Though I'm not the hugest proper grammar. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock here. Who cares? I don't think John Cena's the best thing going in WWE right now. Does he necessarily deserve all the stuff he gets? No, but he eats, sleeps, and breathes this. This is his life, and he's put his heart and soul into this. I don't think it's just words. And a guy like Cena says, if I wasn't working for WWE, I wouldn't be working. I think that's genuine. Whether you like his character, appreciate what's been done with it, I think that's legitimate. And I just don't think that's necessarily the case with Brock Lesnar. Riddle me this, Jason, if I may, 1 second.
Yep.
You say you feel like Brock Lesnar's put his time into WWE in the early 2000s. He put 2 years in. And yeah, I get that he had other commitments. That's fine. He can do his own thing. But then you look at someone like Kofi Kingston, who, yeah, is entertaining and gets praise, but he's never going to – I don't think he's ever going to get it. The time for him to get a title shot has passed by far. Yet he's put his life into this, and he's been on every Raw, every SmackDown, every house show, every developmental thing all the time. And he's put on some of the best matches in WWE history. And he doesn't get that recognition. And I'm not saying that he's necessarily at the level of Brock Lesnar, but I just don't think that he's necessarily put that time in, per se, at least from that perspective. Not necessarily saying that he doesn't make money or he doesn't draw ratings, because he absolutely does that.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I can understand that. I mean, saying putting this time was a bit,
no, I mean, again, it's not like a judgment of your opinion, not like you should feel this. Yeah.
It's so good. No. But I understand he's not the most humble guy out there, and I understand he's a little bit disrespectful to some people. He doesn't like people in general. What can we say?
Yeah, I mean, some people are like that, but I mean, he is what it is, and I do understand. Like if I was in the position of Vince McMahon, I'd probably milk the cash cow for all he's worth too. I'm not. Yeah. So I definitely understand why. That would be the route they would take. Do I necessarily agree with it? Not really. But again, that's just me. And immediately after Brock Lesnar, we had Jack Swagger. I actually made a joke about this in another one of my videos. But I think it's so funny how for such a long time WWE was like this Jack Swagger guy with his American flag singlet and his Eagle mascot and his push-ups. He's gonna be the next big thing. We know that. And then he's a jobber. Like, I feel like he always should have been. I mean, he is what it is. He is what he is. I don't feel like he's ever gonna be anything special. I don't think. I think he's just kind of another guy in another spot to fill.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely going to be a mid-carder for life, I'm assuming. I mean, he's had a few chances here and there with the world title when he had that feud with Del Rio, I believe, prior to WrestleMania 29.
Something like that, yeah.
But I think he had a few problems with the WWE. I think he got a few strikes or something on his career or something, doing drugs from memory. So,
was it drug, alcohol, something like that?
Something like that, yeah. It really slowed down his career. But, hey, he was never going to be a real star anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he was never going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Mystery Man,
Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah, who was that? But nonetheless, we had kind of another guy that everyone thought was everyone in WWE thought was going to be the next big thing. Up next was The Miz. I quite like The Miz. I don't know about you. For a while, he always sort of irked me, especially when he had that, and especially when he was going with Alex Riley and he had all those WWE Championship opportunities. I feel like he works perfectly as a mid-carder because he has charisma and he has it factor. It might seem surprising to folks, but at least I personally don't think that you can pull off a gimmick like an A-list, like a Hollywood A-lister, as well as someone like The Miz can, in the way that someone like The Miz has, because he's just taking this gimmick, and maybe it's the most original or the greatest gimmick. It's not, again, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but I think he's taken it, and I think that he's been able to run with it as best he can. And there's just a certain level of charisma to him, and he's one of those guys you love to hate, and I don't think he's ever going to be able to run with that championship the way that the greats have, but I think it's really just interesting and entertaining to see how he's able to carry a spot like commentating for 5 minutes before he goes into the ring. And I just think it's kind of an interesting thing there.
Yeah, I agree. I think The Miz deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. I mean, I actually really enjoyed his title reign with Alex Riley. I thought it was really fun, and I actually bought one of his shirts at that time.
Really?
with this awesome shirt, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome, or something like that, yeah. But very good talent, a lot of charisma, a lot of personality, and I think he's a great talent, as I said. But he definitely won't be a big star anytime soon.
No, and the problem is it's because guys like this will be big stars. Alberto Del Rio, and I never really liked Alberto Del Rio. I think he's put on good shows when he's been in there with good people, but I don't think he's like the best of the best. I don't think he's the be all end all, or he's that great, or he deserved all the title reigns he got with the big titles and even with the mid card titles. I just think he's kind of there, and he's kind of done his thing and worked his character. I was quite interested to see him coming back. I always love big grand returns like that because he was away for a while because of a behind the scenes scuffle that ensued. But I quite like seeing stuff like guys return like that. It just hasn't done it for me since he came back. It just felt like it was silly the way they matched him with Zeb Coulter, so we lost some steam from that. And I'm not a big League of Nations guy personally.
Nah, me neither.
Yeah,
Del Rio is an interesting guy. I mean, I actually met him, my wrestling company, the company I used to announce for, Outback Champion Wrestling.
You still gotta send me those videos, man. You still gotta send me those videos if you're doing the whole announcement.
I will, man. I will. But we actually had a show with Del Rio, and we had Mr. Anderson on that show as well, and Kennedy, Anderson, whichever one you want. And we had Drew McIntyre, or Drew Galloway, as he's known now, as well. So we had a lot of great talent for that show, and Del Rio looked really good at that show. And I mean, yeah, I don't mind him as a character in WWE. I think he can do a lot more, especially creatively can do a lot more if he was given the opportunity. But yeah, he's not the greatest, but he's just there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I always think it's interesting because you would think someone would be able to thrive so much if they're given a bigger stage, if they're able to put on such a great show on like an indie show. You would think stepping up to the next level, they would just thrive. And it's not always the case, you know? And it's interesting to see. I've seen it a lot with indie guys from around who just kind of flop in WWE. Not to say that he's flopped. It's just kind of, you know, he's kind of there. Was he like a cool guy? Was he?
He was pretty cool. I mean, he was jet lagged. I think he just arrived from a 14-hour flight the day before, so I can totally understand that. But yeah, he was okay.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. To met a guy like that is pretty interesting.
Sure.
But speaking of interesting fellas, Bray Wyatt, number 27.
Yeah, the lucky 27.
Should have won it. I was really hoping that a 27 would. Every year I'm like cheering for the 27. I don't know about you, but I loved Bray Wyatt. Even when he was doing his Husky Harris thing, I always sort of thought he was cool. But he has mastered this character. He goes in there and he cuts promos that rival the likes of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the greats of the Chris Jerichos and I'm blanking on great and the Dusty Rhodes and the Roddy Pipers, et cetera, the Paul Heymans.
Yes.
He goes out there and creates promos like that. And he has in-ring acumen. He is able to put on a show. But what I commend him for the most, even more than his in-ring skills, certainly more than his in-ring skills, and certainly more than his promo skills, is his mastery of a character. Because similar to a guy like Undertaker, I truly invest in this guy. I truly feel what he's putting out with his promos. I truly despise him. I truly sympathize with him. I truly feel like he's going to go out there and cause mayhem with a Charles Manson like cult, you know, and I really love him. I think he's one of the best things going on TV right now and on the main roster right now.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best heels in the company. I think WWE really have dropped the ball with him on a few occasions. They really could have done a lot more with him in his feud with Cena. They could have had him win at WrestleMania against Cena. That would have just really boosted his career.
Him break the streak.
Break the streak. Yeah, that's true as well. But yeah, he's a great character. Don't get me wrong, and I think WWE just really needs to step him up a bit when with WrestleMania 32 coming up in a match with most likely Brock Lesnar, which we'll talk about soon. But yeah, Bray Wyatt's a great character.
He definitely is, man. He definitely is. I was also pretty excited about the next guy coming in, Dolph Ziggler. All my mother could talk about was the whole Total Divas thing they got going on with him and Nikki Bella. So that was.
Don't worry about that. She watches Total Divas all the time.
Yes. It's great though. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
But I like Dolph Ziggler. I've never necessarily been crazy about him, but I really respect him as a performer and as an athlete, and I think that he could run with opportunities that have been given to guys like Reigns or even guys like Ryback, for example. And I think they did drop the ball with him a lot with like his heavyweight championship wins. You know, he won the Raw after Mania. And I think it's really unfortunate that he didn't keep that hot streak going and then he kind of slipped into the mid card because he's still able to stay relevant because he's as good as he is. But even so, you know, he's not going to be a Cena. And that's just unfortunate because he too put on a great show in the Rumble. I think he might have been one of the final four, maybe. No, he wasn't. But he was in that like last pack before that. But even still.
Yeah, I agree. Dolph Ziggler is one of my faves, so to speak. That moment after Mania 29, we were both there. We both witnessed it live. I'll never forget that moment, man. That was one of the craziest moments I've ever experienced. But yeah, since that time, he hasn't really. I think injuries have really slowed him down as well, and a few situations have really gotten him in hot water with the WWE with interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I know he said something about like a comedy show of his at one point.
Yeah, comedy show as well. Yeah. But I mean, I love Dolph Ziggler. I wish he could really get into that main event spot, but yeah, as you said, I just don't see it.
No. It is unfortunate. Something I do see on a week-to-week basis and that I just don't get is the continuous pushing of Sheamus. I really liked him. Him and Drew McIntyre were two of my favorite heels when I was younger, and they were just starting out. I watched ECW, and it was mainly just for them. The first, I want to say, I don't think it was my first, but it was one of the really first vivid live wrestling moments. It was just me and my dad, and we were at a live Raw. And it was a Raw pre-show match. And it was Jamie Noble's last match. He comes out, and it was him versus Sheamus. And it was when Sheamus had this whole persona of like an Irishman that injured everyone, and he attacked Jamie Noble, and they brought him out on the stretcher, and he kept like beating on him and pounding on him. It was quality stuff. It was one of those things like before you really understand about the whole deal about wrestling. And I just thought, and it was just something that I've always really remembered. And I really liked him and appreciated him as a character since then. But they just made all the wrong choices with him. You know, they put him in too many matches with Alberto Del Rio. They made him a face at the wrong time, made him a heel at the wrong time, gave him a dumb look, made him win the wrong matches, lose the right ones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just it's unfortunate because I do think he's a good talent, but I think where he is right now, he didn't deserve to win the title when he did. And I don't think he would have had Rollins not been injured, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, it is what it is, and he's fine as part of the League of Nations, I suppose.
I 100% agree with you there. I mean, I actually met Sheamus last year. Yeah, it was last year. Yeah, he's a great guy, man. He's stopped for a lot of photos and everything. But
I actually met him. They had this whole promotional thing at a local Toys R Us. I don't know if you asked.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Our big local at Toys R Us. He came and big promotion with Mattel with his first action figure. And if you bought an action figure, you could actually go in and get it signed and do this whole promotional shoot with a green screen and stuff. It was really cool. And he was a really nice guy. I remember I brought up to him. He was like, "Oh, you fella," and I was really shy because he was one of the first wrestlers I was met, and I was like, "Wait, is this guy gonna like beat me up or something?" And he was like, "Do you want me to sign the doll, fella? Do you want me to sign your doll?" So it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, as you say, he's not one of the best characters, and ever since that face run with the world title with Del Rio, that was just it really ruined his career, in my opinion. But hey, he's there on TV, and that's about it. Really, we have to deal with it.
Yeah, and it is, and it's a shame since he is a great guy and there was potential.
Exactly.
Nonetheless, last, kind of least, Triple H. I think WWE treated it like it was a bigger surprise than AJ Styles. Everyone kind of predicted it, not because they had seen him on a plane or whatever, but because he's been fighting with Reigns for the past year. It feels like, and it's going to culminate at WrestleMania. And I just think from the moment Mr. McMahon said one versus all, we all kind of knew. At least I know that all the folks in my like wrestling fan circle kind of knew that he would be involved in it, most likely win. I was still holding up hope for like AJ or Y2J or Ambrose. But in deep down, I knew that he was going to win it like he did. I like Triple H. I'm not going to be one of those guys. He's like, Triple H ruins everything. He buries everyone. He uses his mighty golden shovel, and he's the worst thing, and he books himself. He wouldn't be if he was without Stephanie. No, he's a fine talent. It just, the Rumble, it was such a great Rumble, and it felt really predictable, and it's also setting up a feud that I'm not crazy about because it's a feud that's going to push Roman to the moon. And I'm not, yeah. But yeah, and he came in there, he won. It was him and Ambrose were the last folks. Jericho and Brock Lesnar were also in the final four. I think everyone kind of expected Lesnar there. Jericho was cool to see last that long. And of course, Ambrose. I don't think anyone expected Ambrose to be the last one, and hopefully that'll be a booster for him. But, Triple H and that whole finish, it was what it was. I mean, I was thoroughly disappointed with it because I was in that kind of Rumble hype mode. Looking back, it wasn't awful, but it was what it was.
Yeah, for me, I was happy with anyone winning except Roman. That was my intention going into the Rumble. I couldn't have cared less if Heath Slater won the Royal Rumble. I still would have been happy.
Yeah.
It was very predictable. Obviously, we all predicted Triple H is going to be in the Rumble, let alone winning it as well. But I think it made sense. What can we say? It made sense. I mean, Roman took out Triple H back, was it TLC? TLC, yeah.
We were actually at that show too.
I saw that. I love that you did. Yes, awesome.
Yeah, man, it was good, but it was unfortunate. I don't know if you watched till the end. We didn't stay till the end of the Triple H thing because we had to get back for like another commitment. But it was a shame. I've heard it looked pretty awesome. Like watching the replay later on the network. But
yes,
I digress.
Yeah, no, that was good, man. But Triple H. I mean, he's one of the legends of the company, and a lot of people will say, yeah, he's already been champion. Why does he have to be champion again? But it just makes sense, and to build that heel persona against Roman, and to make Roman look strong in the end, I guess, to have him win the title back at WrestleMania. But I'm still a Triple H fan through and through, and I'm glad he's champion. I think it will bring in the ratings as well because he's such a big name, and I think it was the right move.
I do. I think it was better than a lot of choices could have been. I just think given how awesome it was at like a Rumble where AJ Styles debuted and we saw the best of Sami Zayn and Sasha Banks and all those folks, it was just kind of but it was what it was. And it set up on the road to WrestleMania. Clever setup. There we go. There hasn't been too much to talk about. I think we are all pretty certain that it's going to be Reigns and Triple H, be it with some spin at WrestleMania. At least I am for the WWE World Heavyweight title. At least that's how I think it's going to go. The main event, Reigns and Triple H. I don't know if they'll do something with like Vince or Stephanie or a stipulation or Ambrose. I don't know. But I'm assuming, I'm 99.9% sure that's the route they're going to go.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually think The Rock will be in Reigns' corner for this match. I think that's probably what The Rock will play. Maybe it could be a special guest referee or something. I don't know. He'll be involved somehow in the match, I think, and that will get Roman to win.
Yeah, I think maybe The Rock, and maybe they'll build it up like Vince is going to be in Triple H's corner the whole time, and then The Rock's going to, because that could be cool to see. I think that would be interesting to see. Another match that I'm fairly certain about as a result of the Rumble is Lesnar and Bray, which I am very happy to see because I love Bray. And even though I'm not a huge fan of Lesnar, I know that he can put on a great match. And I know that, especially in the hands of someone like Bray Wyatt, that'll definitely turn out well.
Yeah, for sure. When I first heard about this whole rivalry that they'll be doing and setting up this whole rivalry, I didn't really think much. I thought, I don't really see this being a credible rivalry because it looks like they're so different in comparison to each other. But I think both of these guys are great wrestlers, and I think they can put on a hell of a match. And it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think Lesnar's got the match at Fastlane. Is that correct, against Reigns and Ambrose?
I believe. Yeah, I think it's the three of them. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say the Wyatts will interfere in that and cost Brock Lesnar yet again, and that will then set up Lesnar versus Wyatt. But yeah, I think it'll be a good match. I hope they put Bray Wyatt over. I really do, but I just don't see Bray Wyatt getting over again, unfortunately. Brock Lesnar.
I really do. I've heard inklings of Lesnar kind of. I know that he did sign this contract, but that he might be going away for a little longer than usual after WrestleMania. So if that's the case, I would definitely love to see Bray Wyatt hang around. But if not, I'm fine with Lesnar winning, since I know they'll put on, an enjoyable match regardless. But with that being said, the one I'm really looking forward to, everyone's going to say, Jordan, you're stupid and crazy. But I'm calling it. Sting and The Undertaker.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
I do. I think better than any other year. People have always wanted it. It's this dream match amongst wrestling fans, amongst smarks. Ever since Sting came to WWE in the first place, people have wanted it. They didn't give it to us. They gave us Sting. They gave us Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt, and they gave us they gave us Sting versus Triple H. And while both those matches were good, I would definitely love to see Sting versus Undertaker any day. But I think it'll work out because they're inducting Sting into the Hall of Fame, and it'll be a fitting way for him to kind of end his career and kind of end his tenure with WWE, and this kind of way he said goodbye. Because to be perfectly honest, I think it's the only way to pay tribute. WCW isn't around anymore. Yeah, what he did with TNA was great, but the direction they're heading, I don't think it would feel right to have Sting leave on any other note than with WWE. And I'm really holding up hope because Undertaker's getting older, Sting's going into the Hall of Fame, and that just seems like the most logical choice for both of them, especially since Cena, who was rumored to be working with Undertaker, is now not going to be working at all.
Yes, that's true. I would love to see this match as well. I still don't see it happening, unfortunately. I don't think Sting is good enough to return from what I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I wasn't necessarily researching it, but...
Yeah.
But,
no, that's okay. That's all right. It's a dream match, that's for sure. But I actually see Taker being involved in a match. Now, this is a long shot I still see being, but if they bring this particular guy back and if they clear this guy back, you know which one I'm talking about. Yes. Undertaker versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, I think could be a really good match. And
I would love to see it. I don't see how they would do it since Undertaker has always played this baby face and this sort of gray baby face, if that makes any sense. He's not completely, dark or light. He's sort of this grayish in the middle character, but he's always sort of more or less been a baby face since his run with Triple H and Shawn Michaels a few years back. And Daniel Bryan, because of the love that people have for him and because of, let's face it, he's not the best on the mic. I have all the respect for him, but as a wrestler, I don't think that he would necessarily be able to carry it as a heel, and so Undertaker would have to do that. But since Undertaker is such an attraction, I don't know if it would work I suppose they could have it like a respect match, but considering what they did with Wyatt last year, the only way I can really see two baby faces working well together is if they do something the caliber of Michaels versus Undertaker. And while the match might be that good, I don't think the emotional weight could necessarily be carried in the same way.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Glad you mentioned that because I actually see this sort of being like a replica of Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, or Undertaker versus Triple H even. I think they were both baby faces at the time for 27, 28. So I think that could work where Undertaker comes back looking for an opponent, and out of nowhere, Daniel Bryan comes out, look at the WrestleMania sign, and that sets it up for me. That's just my dream match. well.
I would really love to see it. If we don't get Sting versus Undertaker, that's who I would want to see. Without a doubt. And yeah, that's the main stuff for me. I'm also thinking Charlotte versus Sasha. That'll continue on to WrestleMania. As well as probably Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I'm thinking Zayn will make an appearance and he'll be facing Kevin Owens for the Intercontinental title. One thing I'm a little stuck up on, and let me know if you think those two matches will be a thing. I'm not 100% sure what they'll do with AJ.
Okay. I actually think he'll be paired with Kevin Owens, personally. I think they could have a feud there. Yeah. I see also. So yeah, I was thinking it was either going to be Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens against AJ Styles, but it's just from what I can see, Sami Zayn's not really on the roster. They haven't brought him up already on the main roster since the Royal Rumble, so I don't know what they're doing with him. He's still in NXT at the moment, and I think he's going to face the what's his guy, the Japanese star. I forgot his name.
Oh, I'll Google it right now. I got it, gentlemen.
I can't pronounce his name. Unfortunately.
My God. AJ Styles signing. I'm butchering this name right now. Shinsuke Nakamura.
Nakamura, yes, that's the one.
Yes, yeah, that's that.
Yeah. I think those two are going to battle at NXT Dallas, from what I've read. But I just see Kevin Owens battling AJ Styles in sort of a grudge match, I guess you can say.
Right.
I think they'll put on an excellent match. I think AJ could put on an excellent match with anyone, as I said before. But
so could Kevin Owens, frankly. He put on an excellent match with John Cena.
That's true.
Yeah. But no, they're two of the best workers, and especially since Owens ended up eliminating him as well.
Exactly. So that also builds up to a whole storyline thing that they got going there as well. And with Ambrose, what do you think will happen with Ambrose? Because he's a bit of a unknown sort of thing going at the moment. What do you think?
I think it depends on what they do with Bray Wyatt. Not what am I saying? Not with Bray Wyatt. He already had a thing with Bray Wyatt. I think it depends on what they do with Reigns and Triple H. But the thing that I see happening most logically is he goes in with the Intercontinental title. And I honestly see him versus Jericho. It sounds kind of odd. I'm sorry, what?
Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, really? Great minds think alike, I suppose.
Heel Chris Jericho, I think. They sort of teased it on Raw with AJ, so I think Jericho
good job, kid. Yeah. But I definitely think Jericho will turn heel. Maybe they'll involve him somehow at the Rumble. Like he'll cost the match for Dean, and then it'll be down to Brock and Roman will beat Brock. I would love to see them work together. Heel Jericho is one of my favorite characters. I don't want it to be a bad heel Jericho, where like bad as in not like bad guy, but I don't want it to be like deadpan heel Chris Jericho, where he comes out in the suits and he's like, "I'm Chris Jericho.
And I'm the best in the world at what I do."
But he just kind of like stares blankly with someone. Like I like his feud with Edge at WrestleMania 26, but I wouldn't, when he was kind of that stone-faced guy wearing the suits, I would not want to see that happen with this match. If he's going against the Lunatic Fringe, I think it would be great to have him be the cocky Chris Jericho that debuted against The Rock at Raw in the early.
I agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, and I think that's the biggest stuff as far as I'm concerned.
Also going back to the Divas match, you said it was Sasha versus Charlotte. I actually think Becky Lynch should be added to that, and it will be a triple threat.
Maybe a triple threat. Triple threat should be interesting. Yeah, the gravity here, it's weird. It's kind of predictable, but it's an odd thing because what I feel like I'm predicting and everyone else is predicting is so good that I don't mind if all of it comes true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it's good.
These three are probably the best wrestlers on the women's roster. So I think this is probably actually the match I'm most looking forward to, believe it or not, from all these matches.
More so than Brian coming back.
Well, that's another story. When that actually happens, I'll believe it.
Yeah.
But the three women, I think, can put on just a phenomenal match, and I hope they give them the right amount of time as well.
I certainly do. I hope they don't cut him off like they did with the Divas matches before. Of course, that was when it would have been an awful Divas match, but still not good to cut him off. Just saying. But yeah, that's where I say with the road to WrestleMania. Jason, my friend, thank you so very much for joining me tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure. Really was. It's been great catching up with you in preparation for this and doing this, sharing our thoughts, having a little conflict over some stuff, but overall, it's just been a great time. And it's been fantastic sharing it with you guys. Let us know what I have not been monitoring the chat or anything like that this whole time. Yeah. But thank you for tuning in, Jason. Thank you again, man. And to everyone, hoping you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great night. And to say to the lovely people of YouTube, Jason.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All right. Nothing beats a classic. See you around, guys. Have a great night. Or if you're watching in Jason's time zone, afternoon.
That's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.